Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Erosion Show. With big erosion comes big deposition. Today we are going to be looking at the largest fan deposits around the world. They reach over 100 miles, even 200-mile wide fan deposits. And we're going to be looking at the erosion that leads into them. So first we're going to start off in Botswana. And you can see this guy from space. You know, if you're just looking over Africa, you can spot this guy with the streams running over it. This is a big round fan deposit that can be measured at over 100 miles, 135 even. And this guy is called the Okavagnago. Probably pronouncing that wrong. Apparently they've got some pretty large lions on here. This is where the big lions live. A nice lush place with a lot of meandering streams. And when you've got a cone-shaped, when you have cone-shaped terrain, which these fan deposits are, the streams diverge and braid around them. And if we look at the erosion right next to them, what we've got here are drumlins. Not glacier-made drumlins, but fluvial drumlins. These can be made in a water current, and you can find paths of scours in these in the troughs of these drumlins that really prove the water flow theory, the fluvial drumlin theory. And I've got videos where I go to Alaska, and they've got inlets with large tidal swings, and drumlins just like these can be made. But this part of southern Africa has some of the cleanest drumlins. We are talking about very clean sheet water flow going through here. Okay? And so with all this water flow on Africa and coming down from these mountains here, it deposits this huge fan, 135-mile wide fan deposit. And based upon the slope, the slope is very shallow, which proves that it's a fluvial feature. Because if it was made from a landslide or something, the slope would be at like 30 degrees or something. Very steep. But with water flow, it can be less than a degree. And these drumlins here are pretty sweet. And then you can even go up to where they become parallel ravines. And you can see that streamlined feature. And you can see a ton of the streamlined features. This place is a real wonderland of erosion. You can dive in and find some mounds, which is a feature of a floodplain. And there's some really nice streamlined ones around here. I like this guy. That's just a beauty right there. Perfect parabolic shape to that ravine that just wraps around and flows into these drumlins that have scours in the trough. Okay, wind does not scour into land. It's a light. Wind is a fluid. Wind is a fluid, but it's such a light fluid that's naturally in suspension that it's not going to dig these scours. You need a heavy fluid to do that. And you can even see the river path going between these scours. There's a lot of scablands in Africa, and this is a great one with very laminar flow. Just absolutely perfect. And I could go on and on about Africa, but let's go to South America. Okay? We're going to go into the country of Brazil, and we find a huge fan deposit. Look at this bad boy. Perfectly round. Let's check the width on this guy. 164 miles. Now we're taking it up a notch. And the terrain before it is super flat. So we're talking about water flow going through here. No mountains. There's no mountains above here. This is very odd. And then if we go over here, we see another fan deposit. It's a little bit smaller. 65-ish. A ravine wrapping around it. So we can see where the water, so with big erosion comes big deposition. We've got big deposition here, big deposition here. Now we're going to the #1 greatest fan deposit in the entire world in Kazakhstan. Before we measure this guy, I want to shout out my Patreons for supporting me. That is so awesome. I appreciate you guys so much. Huge shout out to you guys. Okay, here we go. Here we go. 120. Oh, come on. We can get 200 miles out of this guy. Let's try again. Okay, so it really ends right here. So we're talking about, hold on. It all depends on how you measure it. Oh, 190, 200. 200 miles. Look at that, 200.08. That is a huge deposit. Now you're probably asking yourself, did this deposit form slowly, or is there evidence of rapid, huge water flow in this Kazakhstan area with mountains that go up into China? Okay, that's what we're going to look at now. So let's go. Let's start off with the other side. So water's coming down this way. This had different current conditions that allowed for braided ripples. So we can see the stream paths and we can see the braided ripples. And so let's give it a measurement. 450. Larger than any ripple found in Washington or Montana from the Missoula flood, or even the Bonneville flood for that matter. There is no ripple from the Missoula or Bonneville flood that can match these ripples here. And this isn't even flowing down into the deposit. This is on the other side. Okay, now this area has some really nice braided streams. If we go over to this area, we just see the nicest ones ever. Let me zoom out so you can really see the stream pattern. Right, this looks just like what we saw in Mexico the other day. It looks just like what we've seen in Ethiopia, Somalia. Okay, look at this. And then it goes down to another deposit here with the ripples on it. And then this berm here was actually made from water pushing up against it. And that happened before these ripples came down. Law of superposition. And then, yeah, this landscape is just a playground of mega ripples. And if we look, let's check out the channel width. We're going to find some mega channels, but we're getting close to a mile. Close to a mile-wide river with mega ripples in it. And is anybody talking about this? Just nobody cares, apparently. But that's what Google Earth is for, just finding awesome. I mean, you can just see the streams so well. Absolute playground. You kind of see the radial pattern here. That's pretty sweet. And let's go over to this spot. You know, clear as day streams with ripples. Right, are there any ripples right here? Not really. But right here you see them super well. So I'll zoom out so you guys can see where I'm at. Okay. Fan deposit, braided ripples all throughout here. And so let's look at what's on the fan deposit. Now we've got that river that's spreading out. We've got that river that spreads out over the fan deposit because it's a cone shape. So that's not really the right conditions for a mega channel. We've got a lot of meandering rivers, and they sure do meander. But we start to see some texture, and if we go over to this spot, we can see what it is. These look, are they ripples or are they drumlins? That's the question. It kind of looks like a ripple formation going, what would that be, to the, I guess that'd be the west. You can tell by the steep slip face right there that we're actually dealing with ripples now going across the fan deposit. Not going down the fan deposit, going across the fan deposit. So I just look at the features of erosion and interpret them. And if you do that, you will find nothing but crazy stuff. Let's get a wavelength check, almost 1,000 feet. Okay. That is pretty sweet. Now, let's find, you know what I want to find? Mega channels. We're definitely going to find some mega channels up in the valley because we can see the water came down this way. Big fan deposit from the debris that was washed down these mountains. This will be our first stop here. First of all, scours in the bottom of the channel, long scour in the bottom of the channel, accretion ridge on the edge of the river, textbook stuff, wavelength check or channel width check. We're going to have to go into miles for this one. 4 miles even. An even 4 miles on a 200-mile wide fan deposit. I'd say that's impressive. Now, we're going to go up into the mountains, into the channels of the mountains. And we're just going to start off with a banger. Look at this bad boy. So, first of all, how wide's the channel? 1.4. Hold on. 2.8. If you look at this clean edge to the mountains, there's a clean edge running along. That's the edge of the bank. Okay, water coming down through here made all these ravines. Didn't make it quite as clean as down here where there's less ravines. Still the channel bank. The farthest channel bank. But we have to talk about this perfectly round beginning to a mega channel. The mega channel doesn't start slowly, it doesn't slowly expand. It begins abruptly with a nice rounded edge. That's an escarpment edge. A rounded escarpment edge is what? A cataract, a feature of a waterfall. You can even see the bank edge continues up a little bit more this way. So what happens is as water's flowing over this, it makes this rounded edge, just like Niagara Falls, just like the waterfalls in Washington, makes that rounded edge. And that rounded edge was probably way down here. And as the water flowed over it, it eroded backwards and backwards and backwards till it got to here, and that's where it ended. And we can see the river that enters dead center to this, but it had a much, much greater flow. Huge amounts of water flow in this area, pouring down to make such a mega channel. All right, that's mega channel number 2. Let's go to number 3. Same thing. Rounded edge. Abrupt beginning to a mega channel. Can follow it down. See the clean edge here. Clean edge here. And then it tapers off. Just quite odd. But that's where the water flow had enough power to make that channel bank. I mean, we're talking about a huge amount of debris that was removed. And that's all down at that fan deposit we checked out in the beginning. And let's do a little channel width check. 3 miles. That's a mega channel. And all right, let's go to mega channel number 4. We see the clean edge, clean edge. It's a good little cliff right there. And then we've got another straight channel. And then we've got the modern. Whoop, the modern's changing on us. Let's see how big the modern is. Okay, 1/10 of a mile, or 1/100th of a mile. And then let's see how big the mega channel is. Almost a mile. So 100 times, just about 100 times more water flow was flowing down these mountains as today. So that's a big difference. 100-fold. We can go over here. Ooh, that's a nice one. It's got that V shape with the channel in the bottom, floodplain in the bottom. Let's get a width check. 1.85. Wow. That is impressive. And what's most impressive is the depth. I mean, that thing is very deep. Much deeper than the other channels we've seen. So that's one of the more impressive channels in these mountains. And we'll go down to where, as it flowed down, it came through here. Really nice straight bank edge. Zoom in. I mean, look how clean that cliff is. Definitely a mega channel. Not as meandery as the modern floodplain. But let's give this a good measurement. I'd say right about here's a good fair measurement. We'll call it 1.5. That's a good one. All right, the final channel. Bank edge, and the opposite bank. Give it a measure. Ooh, not quite a mile. Still impressive. So when we happen to come across a 200-mile wide deposit, fan deposit, and then we go up to the mountains before it, and we find 6 mega channels up here, clear as day mega channels, perfectly shaped, that begin with rounded cataract fronts, and farther up terrace steps. What that tells us is that this deposit, that is the largest fan deposit in the world. Let me know if you know of a bigger fan deposit than this, because I don't. I believe this is the very biggest fan deposit in the world, and it's got 6 huge mega channels in the mountains above it. So why would you think anything other than huge amounts of water flow is responsible for this mega channel? Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all of you. Please like and subscribe, and you can support me on Patreon if you want. You guys have an awesome day. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.